The first thing I heard was the echo of sirens slicing through the peaceful Saturday air. Not distant. Close. Too close. Within moments, 2 patrol SUVs swooped around the bend like they were raiding a cartel. Red and blue lights washing over maple trees and perfect suburban lawns. And there I stood in my driveway, hands half raised, microfiber towels still dangling from my fingers, leather interior cleaner at my feet. Meanwhile, across from me, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, Melinda Harrington, our HOA president, with a power complex the size of a skyscraper, was pointing in my direction like she'd caught a serial burglar. "That's him. Officer, arrest him immediately." "He threatened me," she shrieked, voice cracking like she rehearsed panic in the mirror. Behind me, my pride and joy gleamed beneath a fresh coat of ceramic wax, a deep sapphire blue. Electric luxury SUV, custom-tuned, worth more than Melinda's entire floral pattern wardrobe collection. A vehicle she apparently believed she could possess simply by manipulating rules and emotions. Just half an hour earlier, I was blissfully polishing my car. Music humming low, breeze cool and clean. After mountain rain, peace.calm. Zero drama. Then she arrived. Melinda always looked like she stepped out of a catalog titled Aggressive Real Estate Moms. Pastel blazer, hair sprayed like it could deflect bullets, clipboard tucked under her arm like she was leading the UN, except her battlefield was mailbox height regulations. "Good morning, Mr. Blake," she chirped as she strutted onto my driveway without invitation. Behind her, her teenage son, she stood scrolling on his phone, bored to death. "Morning," I replied cautiously. With Melinda, small talk is never small. It's the pre-attack silence before a snake strikes. "Lovely vehicle you have," she said, eyeing my SUV, like she owned shares in it. "Chase simply adores it." Chase didn't look up. "Yeah, the electric torque acceleration on these things is insane," he muttered. I smiled politely. Glad he appreciates it. Then she said it. "So, what's your price?" I promised him a special gift for his upcoming birthday. I froze mid-wipe. "Sorry, the car's not for sale." She blinked like I just told her gravity wasn't real. "Oh, nonsense. Everything's for sale. I'll start at $18,000. I almost laughed. "Melinda, this vehicle costs 6 times that before modifications," she waved dismissively. "It's used. It's not for sale at any price," I repeated. Her smile tightened. 22,000. Final. I stepped back, confused, irritated, and amused all at once. "No, please, give me space." Then she pulled it out. Like she planned it for dramatic effect. A crisp $1 bill. You could donate it for a symbolic price. A good faith gesture. The universe rewards generosity. "I'm not selling my car for $1. Her face hardened. "This vehicle is excessively flashy for Lakeside Ridge. I will be forced to cite you for aesthetic violations. There are no rules about paint color." I cut in. "Then we will amend them." And that's when I started recording. "You need to leave my property." Now, she dialed 911. And her voice suddenly trembled like she was auditioning for a melodrama. "There's a hostile man refusing to let me leave. He's threatening me, please hurry." 5 minutes later, sirens. Officers. Neighbors peering through curtains. All because I wouldn't sell her my car or bow to her ego. Little did I know, that was just the first domino. But here's the twist. The cops weren't the biggest problem. The HOA war that followed, that tore the neighborhood apart and turned me into the one enemy she could never defeat. The officers split us apart the second they stepped out of the cruiser. One approached me, hand near his holster, but gaze steady and professional. "Sir, keep your hands visible. We received a call about a threat." I nodded. Phone still recording. "Officer, I haven't touched her, moved toward her, or raised my voice. She trespassed, tried to open my car, and called 911 when I asked her to leave." Across the driveway, Melinda clutched her pearls like she'd seen a ghost, except the only spirit haunting this neighborhood was her ego. "She's lying," she burst out, her voice cracking. "He trapped me here. He's unhinged. That car is obnoxious and disruptive to our commune." "Ma'am," the officer cut in, "we are gathering information." Her son, Chase, finally looked up from his phone. His face wasn't angry. It wasn't even embarrassed. It was terrified. Not of me. Of his mom. "Mom, please," he muttered. "Let's just go." She shushed him so aggressively that even the officer flinched. Meanwhile, my neighbor, Dr. Patel, quiet guy, always watering his roses and minding his business, walked over holding his own phone. "I recorded her walking onto your property," SI'd calmly, "and I saw her pull the handle of your car door. Melinda spun around like a malfunctioning lawn sprinkler. You people always take his side." This neighborhood used to have standards. The officer took our phones, scanned the footage, then let out a slow, exhausted breath, the kind a person makes when they know paperwork is about to ruin their day. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "you were not threatened. You were not detained. You trespassed and attempted to open his vehicle. That is a crime. Calling 911 under false circumstances is a crime." The way her face froze, like someone unplugged her brain mid-drama script. "You are arresting the wrong person," she sputtered. "No, ma'am," the officer replied flatly. "I'm arresting the right one." When he turned her around and pulled out handcuffs, the neighborhood held its collective breath. Curtains fluttered. Doors cracked open. HOA royalty was getting dethroned live and unfiltered. "This is a mistake," she wailed as the cuffs clicked. "He thinks he's above the rules because of that ridiculous machine." The other officer glanced at my car, then at me. "Nice ride," he whispered under his breath. "Shame it causes this kind of chows." "Apparently it's a menace to society," I replied. They smirked. They escorted Melinda to the cruiser as she screamed every threat she could imagine. Lawyers, board power. "You'll regret this," the usual HOA villain chants. Chase stood frozen, guilt and embarrassment twisting his features. "You okay?" I asked him quietly. He nodded but didn't look at me. She doesn't know when to stop." "I noticed," I said softly. "You don't deserve this." He swallowed hard and followed the officers to the car. When the police drove away with Melinda in the back, like a suburban supervillain defeated by her own ego, the silence in the neighborhood was eerie. Primera led. My car sat there, gleaming, innocent, and apparently worth a police response. I thought that was the end, that she'd lick her wounds and disappear. But if you've ever dealt with a power-obsessed HOA president, you already know they don't go quietly. They regroup. They come back, and they bring paperwork. Because the next morning I woke up to an official HOA violation taped to my door, seen by Melinda, dated 2 days before her arrest. When I woke up the next morning, the sunlight coming through my blinds felt calmer than reality deserved. For a brief, blissful moment, I forgot yesterday happened. No screaming HOA. President, no squad cars. No suburban courtroom in my driveway. Then I opened my front door. Tier 8 was an envelope tipped neatly at eye level like a passive-aggressive scarlet letter. Thick paper. HOA. Logo. Self-importance practically dripping off the ink. I already knew who sent it. Notice of violation. Urgent action required. Primera skimmed. Vehicle aesthetic in violation of community harmony standards. Color excessively reflective. Possible noise nuisance. Incident attracting law enforcement and disturbing neighborhood peace. And at the bottom, in fancy cursive, like a royal decree. Signed, Melinda Harrington, HOA President. Dated 2 days before her arrest. I laughed. Out loud. The woman was planning revenge before she even called 911. She must have been scribbling this while practicing her emergency victim voice in the mirror. I set the paper down, poured coffee, and sat on my porch, watching joggers pretend not to stare. My peace lasted 9 minutes. My phone buzzed. The HOA group chat was exploding. Is it true? Melinda got arrested? She was protecting the neighborhood. She trespassed. That guy recorded everything? He assaulted her? No, he didn't. There's video. That car shouldn't be here anyway. Shut the thread. No point arguing with anonymous profile pics and Facebook warriors. Instead, I went straight to the county records office. I sat at a dull fluorescent-lit desk, digging through HOA bylaws like I was prepping for a legal battle witch. Apparently, I was. 3 hours later, highlighted passages, copied pages, notes scribbled like I was studying for the bar exam. 0 rules against car color. 0 rules about vehicle gloss. 0 rules about being too shiny for suburbia. The only noise rule: no outdoor parties after 10 p.m. Sorry, Melinda, my V8 doesn't count as a block party. That afternoon, I drafted my appeal and mailed it certified. Copy to the HOA board. Copy to their law firm. Copy to my lawyer. Then I did something Melinda never expected. I made a Facebook group, Lakeside Truth and Transparency. I posted 1 line and the police video. If you've ever been bullied by HOA leadership, tell your story here. Within hours, residents joined like they'd been waiting their whole lives. Comment after comment. She'll fine me for having my trash can out 10 minutes late. She claimed my garden hose violated neighborhood aesthetics. She threatened to tow my son's car for low tire pressure. I wasn't the first target. I was simply the one who filmed it. 3 nights later, just as I settled into bed, my doorbell rang. Sergeant Hayes stood there, hat in hand, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. She posted bail. He sighed. Bike home. Fantastic, I muttered. Should I build a moat? He cracked a smile. Just keep your cameras running. She's not done. No, Keithing. The moonlight hit my SUV in the driveway, glinting off the deep sapphire paint. Still spotless. Still perfect. Still the neighborhood's favorite conversation starter. I didn't sleep much. My phone buzzed non-stop neighbor messages, screenshots, whispers of retaliation. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. HOAs don't forgive. Karen class HO de irreloth. And Melinda wasn't going to settle for losing. She wanted control back. And the next knock on my door wasn't a cop. It was Melinda's husband carrying a settlement offer and a threat. When I opened the door and saw him standing there, I almost didn't recognize him. Same polo shirt collection, same stiff posture, same I-make-decisions-at-country-club-lunches. NG boot gone was the smug glow of HOA royalty. Greg Harrington looked like someone had unplugged him and left him running on backup battery. Evening, he said quietly, eyes avoiding mine. We need to talk. I leaned on the doorframe. We, or the Supreme Court of suburban tyranny you married. He winced. She, Melinda, isn't well. Melinda wasn't well when she tried to buy my car for $1, I replied, or when she called the police claiming I trapped her with microfiber towels. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. Can I come in? I hesitated, then nodded. If trouble was coming, better to hear it in the open. We sat in my living room. He didn't touch the coffee I offered. Instead, he pulled a neat folder from his bag and slid it toward me like he was dealing contraband. A settlement, he murmured. Drop the neighborhood video group, delete the footage, stop. Whatever uprising you're leading. Premeditabling. Uprising? What am I? HOA? Che Guevara. He didn't laugh. In return, we withdraw the violation notices and issue a public statement, calling it a misunderstanding. A peace treaty, except it wasn't a peace. He wanted it was silence. Reputation CPR for a collapsing empire. I glanced at the papers. Legal tone. Polished formatting. Hidden clause everywhere. And if I don't... Primera, asked. Greg's voice hardened. Then we go nuclear finis and complaints. Legal escalation. She'll drag you through every process in the book. Primarily on Ned back, she already tried the police. Didn't work. She's angry, humiliated, and she doesn't lose. Not publicly. She should have thought about that before staging a Wandela robbery, I replied. His jaw tightened. Look, I don't agree with everything she does, but she built this community. People respect her. No, I corrected. People feared her. I looked how maybe for the first time, he realized fear isn't the same as loyalty. She's fragile right now, he whispered. I'm trying to protect her. You protect someone by stopping them, I replied, voice calm, not by enabling the disaster. Silence thickened between us like humid summer air before a storm. Finally, I slid the paperwork back. No deal. He stood slowly. You're making a mistake. No, I said, opening the door for him. I'm correcting one. Before stepping out, he paused. She won't stop. Just be ready. He left. The door clicked shut. My house suddenly felt too quiet, like the walls were holding their breath. I stared at the folder on the table, untouched but heavy. Then I looked outside. Neighbors walking their dogs, kids riding scooters, a lady watering tulips. Nobody knew a neighborhood war council meeting had just happened in my living room. Peace in suburbs is like rain on summer rooftops, temporary and one argument away from thunder. I wasn't backing down. The truth was on my side. Cameras, witnesses, common sense. Still, a chill settled in my spine. Because cornered egos don't retreat, they explode. And right around sunset, as I was locking up for the night, I noticed something strange. A fresh HOA bulletin board across the street. Brand new, bright, official looking, and pinned front and center. Emergency HOA meeting announcement. Topic: community safety, decorum, and leadership misconduct. My name was underlined 3 times. They weren't done. They were regrouping. And that emergency meeting, it would turn the whole neighborhood into a courtroom with me as the defendant. The night before the emergency HOA meeting, sleep avoided me like it knew drama was cooking. I woke up every hour, half expecting Melinda to be spray-painting car show-off on my garage door while chanting HOA bylaws like a suburban sorceress. But morning came quiet. Too key-eyed. Toh. Neighbors waved politely, but their eyes lingered a bit too long. Some offered awkward smiles, others avoided eye contact like HOA politics was contagious. In neighborhoods like ours, gossip travels faster than delivery pizza. By 6 p.m., the community center lights glowed. People flooded inside like they were attending a royal coronation or an execution. I walked in and felt every head turn. Some sympathetic, some curious, some hungry for chaos. Melinda wasn't there, but Greg stood at the front, stiff as a mailbox post. Next to him, 2 board members whispering like they were debating whether to use pitchforks or torches. Mrs. Hanley, the vice chair, sharp nose, sharper attitude cleared her throat. This emergency session has been called to address disruptive behavior and community misconduct. Her eyes locked on me like she'd just spotted a weed in her perfect rosebed. Greg stepped forward, voice steady but strained. Neighbors, Lakeside Ridge has thrived on respect and order. Recently, that balance has been threatened. A murmur rippled. Showtime, he continued. Certain actions have sparked division, media, attention, and hostility toward the H. Translation: how dare you expose our nonsense to the world? I raised a hand. Are we talking about the time your wife tried to buy my car like it was on clearance at Walmart? Or the part where she fake cried to 911? A few chuckles escaped from the back rows. Greg's jaw clenched. Mrs. Hanley slammed her binder shut. You will speak when recognized. Oh, so today we're a courtroom, I replied. Yesterday you were a neighborhood club. Pick a lane. She reddened. This meeting is to assess your behavior. I turned slowly, addressing the room. My behavior? I recorded harassment. I shared the truth. You're upset the truth didn't flatter you. A retired vet in the second row raised his cane. Boys, got a point. Mrs. Handley hissed like a deflating balloon. Greg tried again. We propose a motion to suspend Mr. Blake from HOA privileges, pending review. Cheers. Nope. A silence heavy enough to sit on. Then Dr. Patel stood quiet. Genta, the man who filmed the incident. I moved to reject that motion and replace it with a new one. The board leaned forward. He continued, calm as ever. A motion to remove Mrs. Harrington permanently from any HOA influence. Effective immediately. Gasps. Murmurs. Someone dropped their water bottle. Before the board could object, 3 more residents stood. Then 6, then a dozen. Voices layering into a wave. She abused power. She threatened people. She provoked police. She'll find me for wind chimes. Word spread fast when a regime collapses. Greg looked around and realized something power only works when people believe in it. Tonight, the neighborhood didn't. Mrs. Handley sputtered. You can't just. I second the motion, Lucas called from the back, arms crossed like a proud battle bassist. Democracy delivered a punch stronger than any HOA violation form. The vote wasn't close. It wasn't even dramatic. It was a landslide. Melinda officially gone. Greg stripped of board authority. New leadership neighbors, not tyrants. The room exhaled. For the first time in weeks, the energy shifted from tension to relief. As people clapped, someone whispered near me, "You didn't just win. You reset the game." I smiled. No, we did. I stepped outside into cool evening air. My SUV shimmered in porch lights, silent, loyal, unbothered. The storm wasn't over, but the worst had passed. And out there in suburbia, quiet victories shine louder than police sirens. But just when peace felt real again, something unexpected arrived in my mailbox. Not a threat. Not a violation. Something far more dangerous. A letter from the state HOA council. You can always tell when a storm passes not by sunshine, but by the quiet that follows. Days after that explosive HOA meeting, I woke up to the soft hum of birds instead of phone notifications. The air felt different. Lighter. Almost like the whole street exhaled at the same time. No more tense glances. No HOA. Emails at dawn. No whispers behind fences. Hust. Peace. I grabbed coffee, stepped outside, and there it was. My driveway, my home, my freedom. The SUV sat shining under the morning light like it had fought the battle with me. Same deep sapphire gleam. Same quiet confidence. I'd earned this calm, but peace in the suburbs always comes holding an envelope. Today was no different. A crisp, white letter sat in my mailbox. Oficial Seal State HOA Council, the kind of thing that used to spike my blood pressure. I opened it slowly, ready for, well, anything. Instead of accusations and warnings, the first line nearly made me laugh. We commend your efforts in promoting transparency and accountability within your community. Primera blinked. Commend? Not condemn. The letter continued. Your case will be used as a reference for ethical HOA reform and community leadership standards. Your neighborhood's actions illustrate how members can protect their rights peacefully and effectively. I read the lines twice, maybe 3 times. They weren't here to punish me. They were thanking me. A handwritten note followed. Sometimes the loudest battles are fought with evidence, patience, and the courage to stand your ground. Congratulations. Council Director Avery Clark. For the first time in weeks, I felt every muscle in my body relax. Not just ace. Actual relief, the kind you can feel deep in your bones. That's when Lucas walked over, messy hair, travel mug in hand. Let me guess, Melinda mailed you a final curse from her bunker. I handed him the letter. His eyebrows shot up. Damn! You didn't just win. You set a legal example. I nudged. So how does it feel, Mr. HOA freedom fighter? I smirked. Honestly, I just wanted to wash my car in peace. Well, congratulations. You toppled a suburban dictatorship. We stood quietly for a moment, watching a couple kids ride scooters down the street. Laughter bouncing off driveways. A neighbor waved. Not timid, not tense, just normal. Think she'll come back? He asked quietly. People like her don't fade, I replied. But she doesn't hold the leash anymore. And this community, it woke up. He nodded, impressed. So what now? I looked at my car. Still flawless, still mine, still not a $1 charity donation to a power-hungry HOA queen. Now, I said, tossing him the keys, we drive. Peacefully, quietly. Like normal people. He grinned. Normal isn't really your thing. Today it is. We buckled in, rolled down the windows, and cruised through streets that finally felt like home again. Not a battlefield. No eyes judging. No voices plotting. Just wind, calm roads, and a neighborhood learning how to breathe again. Because justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just stays parked in your driveway, shining quietly, reminding you that you didn't bend and you didn't break. And peace, earned the hard way, always hits different.